this dramatic retelling, the story reports that Diddy receives a 4-year, 2-month prison sentence, a substantial fine, and a period of supervised release, while two figures in the narrative, Jaguaer Wright and Gandil, step forward to describe their own experiences and voice deep skepticism about his honesty. Jaguar's character delivers a sharp, unapologetic stance, saying she feels no sympathy for someone she believes has caused harm, and she refuses to express concern over any challenges he may face.
They were saying that it might go until Monday. I was actually kind of surprised that it didn't, considering the show that they put on for the public. They put on such a lovely show.
That was a show.
Wouldn't you say?
That was a show.
It was a video montage.
Oh my God.
You would have thought it was like a retirement ceremony. Or, someone winning an award for, lifetime achievement or something. The way they sat there and the way they carried on and the way, especially when it gets to the point where lawyers are forcing themselves to tears or almost to tears, talking about how inspiring that deviant is. Kind of interesting.
In this fictional narrative, the plot reveals that most of the serious charges against Diddy are dismissed, leaving him with the shortest possible sentence, far below the 9 years recommended in the story's federal guidelines, resulting in only 4. The same judge who previously denied him bail multiple times is now portrayed as offering a reduced sentence and urging him to turn his life around, a twist the characters viewing the situation find impossible to believe. Within the storyline, it's suggested that his children publicly support him because they rely on him, adding another layer of tension to the drama.
I'm not going to sit up there and judge anybody and what they want to do for their parent or their financial provider. Because I'm sorry, do any of those children have a means for earning a living outside of the Combs enterprise? I don't think so.
I mean, King Combs.
Doing what?
I don't know.
What's he do? Other than post on his dad's timeline and make music videos that I don't know that anybody actually watches. What do they do? What do any of them do?
In this fictional storyline, Diddy's children are portrayed as being tightly bound to his influence, speaking in his defense because their careers and financial stability depend on him, especially with the fear that opportunities could disappear if he ends up behind bars. The narrative suggests they have no reliable income outside of what he provides, adding pressure to support him publicly, while several of the sons in the story face their own legal challenges. The tension rises as the characters question who would cover their mounting legal costs if Diddy's downfall becomes inevitable.
Why do you think Diddy's kids spoke out publicly?
What choice do they have?
Even I think one of the sons did a rap and he's like,
what choice do they have? When you're dealing with the kind of narcissistic control freak that Diddy is, and you raise children under that, the financial abuse for all of them is probably the worst. Because there's no way they can make money without him. He has them locked in. And if he falls, who's going to hire them? Who's going to fund them? Who's going to look out for them? No one. Right. No one. They're not fighting for their father. They're fighting for their survival. What they all gonna do? Go work at the Good Burger or the
In this fictional account, the storyline reveals that Diddy was placing more than 200 calls a week from behind bars, prompting federal investigators to alert the judge that he was allegedly using family members to reach protected witnesses. According to the narrative, he would contact a relative and have them add a witness to the same call, creating a communication chain that obscured who spoke with whom and what was said. The plot twist comes when one witness reports the pressure, exposing the scheme and pulling federal attention directly onto the covert operation.
$1 million at his disposal. Isn't that by nature the exact thing that they're worried about? If you have this much money that you could make this thing, you could probably make people disappear if you really opted to.
See, this is the thing. That'll just make more trouble. Why would he make more trouble now? He done already bought off and paid off everybody he possibly could. Have you looked at the indictment? Like, he called some witnesses up to 54 times.
Yeah, 200 and how many Angel? 200 something people he tried to reach out to.
Like, what are you running, a telethon or a telemarketing agency? Telemarketers don't make that many calls in one day. Or sometimes not even in a week, all depending on you was on that. You down for Diddy? How does that conversation start? Hey, what's up? You know, I really feel bad about that last time I bashed you in the face with a Ciroc bottle. Look, we good?
In this fictional narrative, it's revealed that Diddy isn't the only one exerting control, as Jaguar claims he had an entire circle of people working alongside him, raising the question of why he alone faces prison time while others remain in the shadows. She describes a network shaped by his influence, insisting that he helped create the very figures now hidden behind the curtain, and she begins exposing each allegation one by one. As the tension rises in the story, Jaguar urges every affected person to step forward, calling for the truth to finally be brought into the light.
Time for all of the victims to come forward. But for the people that have been denying it, you know what? Let's not be coy. You know, I am Jaguar. So let's just keep it a buck. Let's keep it a bean. Stevie J should be charged. Mary J. Blige should also be charged. Jennifer Lopez should definitely be charged. Should I keep going?
I mean, you're hitting it on.
Jay-Z should be charged. Khaled should be charged. Rick Ross should be charged. Usher should be charged and tried with him. Or for Justin Bieber alone.
Now, Carisha and Rick Ross just sat down together in an interview.
I know. Two Diddy doo-wop bops. What a reunion.
In this fictional storyline, the only point Gene and Jaguar truly agree on is their belief that Diddy shows no genuine remorse and is incapable of real change, even as he breaks down during sentencing and submits a heartfelt letter to the judge expressing regret and apologizing to those he says were harmed. In the narrative, he claims he has transformed, describing how he now teaches a class to fellow inmates about the discipline and decisions that shaped his business success, portraying himself as sober for the first time in 25 years and reborn behind bars. He ends his plea by asking for mercy not just for himself, but for the future of his children, insisting the person he once was no longer exists.
Spoke to the judge before sentencing, and it sounded like he was taking accountability.
Yeah, accountability for what? Same kind of accountability he took after he told everybody Cassie was lying on him, and then he got popped on my birthday when the video came out on CNN. And then he had to come back and do the whack-a-doodle-doo.
Yeah, I guess accountability for what he got caught for.
How does now nobody not see the apology he gave for Cassie after he called her a liar for months and said that it wasn't true and she was making it all up? How does nobody not see that they're the same apology? How does nobody not see that what he just did in that courtroom was no different than the monologue that was in Blink Twice?
No, man.
It's the same monologue.
Does it account for anything though that he started to feel sorry for his actions?
Sorry for his actions.
He's been sitting in NBC for you.
Actually sorry. Do you think he would have allowed his legal team to destroy those women like that on that stand? See, you sat there and you let your legal team rip those people to shreds while they were barely being protected by the feds.
In this fictional narrative, Diddy appears to slip through the cracks of the justice system, leaving characters stunned as they struggle to understand how he ended up with such a light outcome, a sentiment echoed by Jaguaer, who insists he escaped full accountability and shows no true regret. Within the story, they warn that it's only a matter of time before he returns to old patterns, especially since he's poised to receive credit for time already served, potentially walking free within a year or two. The plot intensifies as he is depicted exploring every possible avenue for an even shorter sentence, from seeking a pardon to applying for a treatment program, pushing the tension of the storyline to its peak.
What they call relevant conduct that you do in that stuff. And Diddy did a lot of shit. He beat people. He drugged people. The judge even said this. You understand? The judge spoke about coercion. And no matter what the what you call them people, the jurors, said and thought and everything like that. The judge spoke about his coercion, his relevant conduct. The judge spoke about, mitigating circumstances. You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit the judge spoke about. Look at here. He got caught with drugs. Never got charged with the drugs. And the judge knew that. That's why the judge said relevant conduct. You understand? He got caught with guns. Guns in the house with the serial number. The judge knew that. You understand? Relevant conduct. You understand? That he didn't get charged with. The beating of Jane, hitting in the head, the assault, and all that stuff of Cassie. All those things, they probably couldn't. I don't guess they could have charged him with them, but it came up in the trial. All that's relevant conduct. You understand? And people don't understand all the things that he was doing. Then the judge made a point. When you go and talk to the managers and you talk to people about hiding evidence. You understand? Remember the fact in the trial when it came up that he gave a guy $100,000 and some thousand dollars or $100,000 to keep the tape that from cashing them? That's relevant conduct. Your judge was speaking about all that.
In this fictional storyline, Gene's life has been marked by years of tension and fear after he began speaking out, believing he was being targeted because of what he claimed to know about Diddy. And the narrative even includes supporters of Diddy suggesting there were conversations about pressuring Gene to stay quiet. With that history hanging over him, the story makes it clear why Gene feels no sympathy for someone he views as having put him in danger, and his refusal to forgive becomes a defining point of the unfolding drama.
I don't want to see a black man in jail. I don't want to see a black man in jail. But I don't care nothing about Diddy going to jail. That's a big difference to me. I never want to see a black man going to jail based on the circumstance, based on the situation, based on he may not have the legal team, because a lot of us get railroaded. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of us get railroaded. So I don't never want to see no black, yo, that's what these cats gonna be saying. Yo, they want to see a nigga. Nah, bro. I fought to keep guys out of jail for 27 years. But do I care about him going to jail? Nah, I don't, bro. I'm sorry. God just gonna have to take that off my heart. But that's my enemy. He made it clear.
In this fictional account, even though Diddy is portrayed as receiving what many characters consider a lenient outcome, his legal team immediately announces plans to appeal, convinced he should have walked away with probation instead of any prison time. Within the storyline, Diddy is stunned to face 4 years behind bars, viewing it as far harsher than he anticipated, despite narrative claims that his troubles stretch back decades. The character refuses to accept even a moment longer in confinement, determined to fight the ruling and reclaim his freedom as quickly as possible.
Out of New York City, we are hearing Diddy's attorneys speaking to the media after he was sentenced earlier today. This is live.
So yeah, we are planning to appeal.
I want to hear them, bro.
We are planning to appeal. We think we have strong bases to appeal. The strongest basis is that the jury reached a verdict on coercion. It found there was not coercion. And I think the judge said coercion today as a basis for a sentence at least a dozen times. We think that is unconstitutional. We think that a jury verdict should mean more than our jury's verdict seems to mean. And so we are planning to appeal.
Absolutely. Files a cross appeal. What would happen in that regard if they filed a cross appeal and then Sean Diddy Combs get a higher sentence?
He would not get a higher sentence, and they're not gonna cross appeal. We're gonna appeal. We think we're right, and they'll respond to the appeal, and it'll be decided by the Second Circuit as soon as.
Tell us about the conversation you had with your client after the sentencing.
Consensual. The judge clearly thought the sexual encounters weren't consensual.
Because he's biased.
To make of his remarks.
He's biased.
I'm happy to go. So we think that's just absolutely inconsistent with the jury's verdict. I mean, the jury's verdict was resoundingly clear. There was no trafficking, there was no racketeering, everything was consensual, everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the prostitution offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror, one that we did not choose, and that he second-guessed the jury's verdict.
Well, at least the judge was open-minded.
In this fictional narrative, Diddy is depicted as being deeply entangled in a web of questionable associations, and the storyline suggests that a deeper investigation could reveal an even larger network of collaborators. The characters question how such a powerful operation could appear to revolve around a single person, and the plot teases hidden connections and behind-the-scenes dealings, leaving the audience eager to uncover who else might be involved and what the full extent of the network really is.
That happened in the R. Kelly case, because if that had been properly addressed, this would have been addressed back then. These people have been working together, all in cahoots for all of this time, and it needs to all be addressed. I'm glad it's not just me anymore. I'm glad it's someone else. I'm glad there are other people who need to be heard. I'll be sure. I'm glad they're hearing him, Cassie. I'm glad they're hearing her, Kim Porter. Through, I'll be sure. I'm glad, Natanya Rubin. I'm glad. All of these things. So yeah, it's mixed emotions, but I just know when you pray for something and God answers it, you should be happy.
He has ties to Florida. We know he has ties to LA. Now we know that he has ties to Detroit. How many other metropolises in the United States has he been able to infect at the highest levels of government to be able to do his bidding? The Detroit judge saying, our good friend in New York gotta pay the bills somehow. Amen to.
In this fictional narrative, The story raises questions about whether it's mere coincidence that so many former associates of Diddy now face serious consequences, hinting at a network that reaches the highest levels of influence. Characters insist that those involved should all be held accountable, while social commentary in the story highlights the tension between public perception and justice, noting the irony of a character pleading for leniency after years of questionable behavior. The narrative intensifies by suggesting that, despite a light sentence, the character may emerge even more prominent and influential, fueling the intrigue and suspense.
So he got off like a fat rat in a cheese factory. But for a dude like Diddy going to jail and spending all that time, you know, I'm not saying it's going to be rough or nothing like that, because his former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burrows, with the federal jail. You understand? Lil' Kim with the federal jail. So, you know, because the type of dude he is, you know, he'll make it. He'll be all right. And plus, they're going to send him to a camp, bruh. He'll be in somebody camp or somebody dormitory, whereas that it'll be real light for him. So, you know, he'll see the streets back again in 24 months. He'll be out within 2 years. It seems like a lot saying 50 months and everything like that, but it's not really a lot. Not at all, bruh. It's not a lot at all. You know what I'm saying? I know for executive, somebody who's been a jet setter, somebody who's been going all around the world, been in all kind of, you know, stadiums, galas, and living in mansions. You know, it's a lot of people who lived in mansions that's in federal jail. You know, you got Senator Melendez from Jersey in jail.
In this fictional account, Diddy remains untouchably wealthy, and the sentence barely dents his lifestyle, allowing him to even request a preferred facility, choosing Fort Dix as part of a carefully calculated plan. Within the storyline, this location offers access to an intensive 9-month rehabilitation program designed to reduce prison time, and the narrative highlights how completing the program could potentially shave a full year off his sentence. The plot frames these moves as strategic, underscoring the character's relentless focus on minimizing his consequences while navigating the system.
A lot of people look at it like this hasn't affected his pockets technically, as far as just on the status level.
Affected his pockets. It's just left him. He still got enough to play with.
A lot to play with. I mean,
yeah. For now. They want him to go to New Jersey. They want him to go to Fort Dix, one of the weakest guarded federal penitentiaries in the United States. I know Fort Dix. It's a real nice place to take somebody. So when they finally get to go outside out in the yard, they can just get somebody to come and extract them right up out of there. You can leave and you don't have to worry about ever being held accountable. See, I'm not dumb. I ain't nobody's fool. People like being fooled these days. People like being lied to. They want to believe in the land of make-believe. Diddy said sorry, and now we can all go home and have ice cream.
In this fictional narrative, the judge outlines strict probation conditions for Diddy following his sentence, mandating a 5-year period of supervised release. The story emphasizes that he must regularly meet with his probation officer, avoid prohibited substances, and submit to a series of drug tests, one within the first 15 days and additional periodic tests thereafter, highlighting the structured oversight designed to ensure compliance and accountability as he navigates life after incarceration.
Diddy's conditions that he is going to have to follow when he gets out of prison have been released by the judge. This is not going to be an easy thing for Diddy to handle. He is someone that is used to traveling, used to doing whatever he wants basically, and now we know he is going to deal with 5 years of supervision when he finally does get out of prison. Obviously, Diddy cannot commit any other federal, state, or local crime, and he must not unlawfully possess a controlled substance. He also must refrain from any unlawful use of of a controlled substance, and he must submit to a test within 15 days of release from imprisonment. Then at least 2 periodic tests thereafter as determined by the court. Diddy must cooperate in a collection of DNA as directed by the probation officer. The judge doesn't check here that he must participate in an approved program for violence because it's in another set of conditions that he actually already has to do this. Diddy also has a list of standard conditions that he is going to have to meet when he gets out of prison. You must report to the probation office in the federal jurisdiction district where you are authorized to reside within 72 hours of your release from imprisonment. After initially reporting to the probation office, you will receive instructions from the court or the probation officer about how you will report to the probation office, and you must report to the probation officer as instructed. You must not knowingly leave the federal judicial district where you are authorized to reside without first getting permission from the court or the probation officer. So that means Diddy is not just going to be able to get up and travel like he thinks without getting permission from the probation department. You must answer truthfully questions asked by your probation officer. You must live in a place approved by the probation officer. If you plan to change where you live or anything about your living arrangement, such as the people that you are living with, you must notify the probation officer at least 10 days before the change. You must allow the probation officer to visit you at any time at your home or
In this fictional storyline, Jaguar reveals the shocking twist of the one case Diddy couldn't overcome, having obtained court documents showing that Derek Lee Cardell Smith successfully sued him for a massive settlement. The narrative portrays Diddy's team as scrambling to suppress the details, knowing that public knowledge of the case could jeopardize his chances of entering a coveted rehabilitation program. The tension mounts as the story teases the potential consequences of this hidden legal battle and the lengths characters will go to control the narrative.
You want to know what's funny? While Mark Agnifilo was sitting there making fun of Baby Oil and doing all of the stuff that he was doing in court and creating all of that nice guy hoopla, trying to get everyone to believe that Diddy is not such a terrible person and that he's a wonderful man and he deserves to go back to Madison Square Garden and he's going to be right there to cheer him on. Do you want to know where else he was? In Wayne County, negotiating with Derek Lee Cordello Smith.
Wow.
His victim.
Wow.
Why would he be in negotiations with him if he actually believed that everything that he said in that courtroom was true?
Sounds like a fixer.
Sounds like a fixer. A liar.
Boy.
You think I give a shit about that sentencing? Let me regale you. Hold on. Wait a minute.
And as you're pulling it up,
Is it your testimony that you have your team of technicians at the crime lab who can and have manipulated evidence to place grapes not only on Derek Lee Cordello Smith, but other men as well, with the end result being they will plead because they have no choice. And they know you will get convictions because the SA victims in those cases are actually victims of Sean Combs and of the sexual slavery ring in Michigan. And guess what the witness's response was? So what? Yeah.
Even after a mountain of evidence, Diddy emerges with only a 4-year sentence, the potential for a high-level pardon, and the same influence that has kept him untouchable for years. Yet with Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal refusing to stay quiet, the story is far from finished, and the tension continues to build. The narrative leaves readers questioning whether he will serve every day of his sentence or engineer another escape, inviting them to weigh in and speculate on what could happen next.